Some of us, we have to work our ass off. Oh gosh, that's a hard question.
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh wow, that's a good one.
Because I actually don't like it and it kind of annoys me.
I think that's the wrong way to think about others.
Comparing ourselves is a natural thing. It's how some of us are able to achieve great things in life while others fall prey to despair and jealousy. But so if the same thing can create two opposing reactions, then isn't it a matter of how we ourselves respond to the situation at hand that defines what the outcome will be? Now I myself have a hard time sometimes walking the road between these two extremes, and I don't think I'm the only one. So I went out on the street and asked people about their experience, and I will share those experiences together with my own. Do you want to be in it? No? Okay, that's good. No, you don't want to be in it? No, thank you. Do you want to be in it? Okay.
Embarrassing!
Steak? What is steak?
The bad side, the good side. Want to stand there somewhere? So how often do you think you compare yourself to others?
Probably every day.
Quite often, I'd say,
Yeah.
but I have a healthy way of doing it, I think.
Okay.
I would say like all the time. All the time. Wherever I go to party, I will compare myself to others, you know.
Maybe multiple times a day if it's training. If I'm doing something competitive, I just use it as a benchmark and challenge myself.
It's a good question. I think it's a natural thing. You sometimes are not aware of it, but I guess it's a regular thing, you know, when you see people looking nice or behaving in a confident way that, you know, you're inspired with. So I try to be inspired and try not to have it as a letdown, but it's tricky sometimes, particularly if you feel like someone is really special and great.
So how do you normally deal with a situation where you might compare yourself to others, like in a negative way? How do you shift your focus in that situation?
That's a good question. It depends on the situation. I would try to change my perspective on it and have it more in a way that I can take something away from it and be inspired. And if I want to strive to be, you know, better at something, and I see someone is, you know, marveling in that respect, I will try to maybe see if I can pick up on something that would make me better. I don't think I have any specific tactic, but sometimes just being aware of it, that you're maybe negatively comparing yourself, can start that shift.
My dad always taught me to never compare yourself to the worst. So comparing to others in a negative way, I feel like is comparing to the worst.
I mean, I feel I'm pretty happy to see others succeed, so I don't compare myself in a negative way. I love seeing other people do well and be happy, so yeah.
I try to just remember that we all come from, you know, different places and backgrounds, and at the end of the day, even if it looks like it, we're just really not trying to compete against each other. I think it's a good way of remembering that not everything is a competition.
I party a lot, I drink a lot. That's how I release my negative vibes, you know.
Okay.
And I also talk to my friends a lot. Whenever I'm feeling down or feeling blue, that's what I do.
Everyone's experience is different to mine. So by comparing myself exactly to them, it's not really a good reference. Even though I know I just said that I tend to not 80% of the time compare myself, I think I just remind myself of the reality that it's very separate and it's not comparable at all. Another thing that I do is that while I'm comparing myself to this person, maybe someone that meets me is comparing themselves to me. So it's just like an endless cycle of loops.
I think sometimes you realize it's bad, but then, I don't know, if it affects you and you feel, I want to be like that person, it's kind of, sometimes it's hard to like stop.
Is there someone in your close circle that you tend to compare yourself with? May it be negative, may it be positive?
Oh wow, that's a good one.
I just want to take a quick moment to talk about the sponsor for today's video, which is ULTRAHUMAN. Now, ULTRAHUMAN is a company that produces health and fitness rings, just like the one I'm wearing right now. Now, as you can see, I'm wearing the black one, but you can choose between 5 different colors. They have gold, titanium, black, grey, and silver. I first started using the Ring Air 4 months ago when I filmed a documentary in the Netherlands. And now 4 months later, I can genuinely say that I'm still very positive about our product. Now, the 3 features that I personally like the most are the sleep index, the stress rhythm score, and the movement index. But apart from these 3 metrics, they have so many other fun and interesting features to take a look at and play with. For example, you can use the free app for different kinds of breathing exercises. You can also use the app for heart rate monitoring and workout logging. And another cool feature that I definitely want to mention is that they provide science-based advice on each specific metric in case there is room for improvement. Now, ULTRAHUMAN is currently celebrating their 1-year anniversary for the Ring Air with a special offer for the first 10 people that click the link in the description. Not only will you get 10% off your first order, you will also receive a bunch of other benefits, such as a well-designed sleeping mask and a 6-month UHX membership, which comes with its own perks, totally for free. So if you're looking to improve your health and fitness and want to support my channel, then this is a great way to do just that. Simply click the link in the description or use code WONDERSTAND at checkout to receive your own Ring Air. That's it for the sponsor, now let's get back to the video.
I don't think often, no.
Okay.
Yeah, once in a while, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, if someone has like a certain recognizable accomplishment.
Not that my close friends. I do have a lot of close friends, but I do not compare myself to them. It's gonna ruin your friendship. Yeah. So I don't.
I feel like I'm pretty confident in myself not to think negative.
Oh yeah, like I feel like in the school that's a very closed environment and a lot of let's say students compare each other. It's not only appearance; it can be live, whether you're rich or not, or your grade. That happens a lot.
I've definitely in the past I had people that would be close to me, and then particularly it will be a mix of these feelings. I think you can sometimes have both at the same time, where you're thinking like, wow, they're so inspirational, I want to be more like them, and then sometimes like, oh damn it, So I can't think of a specific person now, but I've definitely had that in the past with some friends that I would have the same, this feeling kind of mixed together. I wouldn't even say sometimes jealousy, but this feeling that then, you'd be suddenly looking at yourself and putting yourself down and kind of looking down at yourself. Not even that I'm jealous of that person, but suddenly I feel less relevant and like, how come they can be more successful or, things can come naturally to them. And I'm sure, then you think everyone's got their own struggles and it's not that it's easy for them as well. It might seem easy, but you never really know what's behind,
Yeah, that's a very good point. There are two feelings I tend to feel very strongly when I compare myself to others. And since I'm a very career-driven person, I tend to compare myself to people that make more money than I do. Now, the two feelings I'm talking about are feeling inspired and feeling envy. And I find that the variable that makes me feel either one or the other is mostly based on whether the person's values or background are similar to mine. Like if a person's background and values are similar to mine, it's much more easier for me to feel inspired compared to a person's values and background that are very different from mine. So to give you an example, I would consider myself a very grounded person. And so I don't want to be seen as too full of myself or a person that has a big ego. Therefore, when I see someone who has a big ego, I tend to want to disassociate from a person like that. But when this particular person excels in an area that I have difficulty excelling in, I can't help but sometimes feel resentment towards a person like that. And even though I think this is a very human thing to feel, I also think it shows how I need to work my own insecurities and that I need to learn to be more grateful for the things that I do have. But to go a little bit deeper on the ego thing, I also feel like it's very much a biological thing. Because I think what happens inside of me is that seeing someone with a big ego might make me feel as though my own sense of self-confidence and groundedness is being overshadowed by their big ego. Like if I'm just sitting somewhere casually and there's someone else present who feels the need to show off, then often this can seem like this person is the alpha male or the more masculine guy, even though the actions of the person that feels the need to show off are often just like a blanket for their insecurities, right? But from a mating perspective, you would question whether the opposite sex is aware of that and can see the situation for what it is. But yeah, I just find it very fascinating and interesting to think about how the act of comparing can create two very different emotions based on different factors. What do you think makes the difference between feeling inspired by someone and feeling jealousy or envy towards someone?
Well,
Oh gosh, that's a hard question. I feel like honestly, I don't feel envious of people that often. Inspired is a good feeling.
Yeah.
So you know that inherently. But when you feel envious, I mean,
Those are
that's a bad, I can't have a bad
issues, like
feeling.
personal issues. I feel like you feel envy all the time. I don't
Human
know.
nature.
I don't see people as doing better than me. I feel like we're all winning in our own ways.
Yeah.
So, it's just about finding all the good in everyone and yourself.
Oh, that's a good question. I think the fine line is, I think it's connected to how we also see ourselves with someone. Instead of looking at your shoes right now and I say, oh, those are really nice New Balances. But let's say you're not a cocky guy and then you see a cocky guy with those shoes, I think that's when the envy will kick in. Like I said, you're trying to see yourself in someone else too, try to feel better.
It's an interesting one, and I think it depends on the situation. I definitely feel like I'm trying to get more at being positively inspired by people rather than getting jealous.
Yeah.
Having said that, sometimes it is tricky when you see someone and then you're feeling a bit more vulnerable. I feel it depends as well how I'm feeling. In certain times, if I'm feeling quite good about myself and I'm going through a good phase in life, then it's easier to shift. If I'm feeling down or vulnerable, then that positive aspect is more difficult to see.
It depends. What kind of people are you comparing to? If that's a good inspiration, like you can always get motivated by them to do some good stuff, be kind to people. But to be honest, I also compare myself to those rich people before. Like I get a little bit jealousy, to be honest. Some people, they were born to be rich. Some of us, we have to work our ass off, like work really hard.
So that's because you're not coming from a rich family yourself?
No, I don't. No, I don't. Actually, my family, they couldn't afford me to go to college. So it's like I dropped out the school right after high school. I wasn't able to get into college. So I started to work like at a very early age, and I had to work really hard to get a decent life.
The way you get probably inspired by someone is when they're rich, but they're coming from a poor background. Maybe that's the situation where you feel inspired.
Yes, I get inspired from them.
Because then you can relate, right?
I can relate. That's something I can relate to. But if someone is, born to be rich, they come from a rich family, I could never relate it to them. The problem is you don't really let that get to your mind or yourself. You just need to be more positive and then talk to your friend, party, do whatever you need to do. That's all.
For me personally, if it's something that I cannot attain, then I'm jealous. But it's something that I can attain based on the fact that they've had a good head start. It's not so much as like, because anything, you work your hard or try your best, you could probably reach up to their level. But it's more so jealousy of the head start or like the opportunity they have that I couldn't, that I wasn't given. So I have to then try harder.
The act of comparing, does this mostly happen when you see someone who has something you don't have, or when you have something that someone else doesn't have?
Oh, that's a good question. I think both. I think it goes both ways. So let's say top of mind is, like say I will go for a run and then I see someone with latest shoes or shoes that I want. And I say, oh wow, how much faster does he get? How did he get that? Something like that. But as well as like maybe someone who doesn't have something, like let's say if I catch someone looking at say my sports watch or something like that. They say, oh, he doesn't have one. It's like, oh, I'm wondering how he trains. I think it gives me a different perspective.
Yeah, I do. Like when I see someone is, they're well educated, or let's say if they're rich, I do compare myself to them. But if I saw poor people, I'm not gonna think of that way, like in a snob way. Oh, I have money, but you don't. No, that's not right. I would think about it as like, okay, he seemed fine. Why didn't he get a job? Or is there something else I can help with? Yeah, especially see the kids begging for money around here. Yeah, that makes me sad.
How often do you catch yourself making assumptions about someone else based on like one impression, based on one thing?
Often.
Quite often, but I don't make my assumptions rigid. I like to go. I'm quite open to more assumptions as time goes on. Yeah.
Do you remember, like, can you share an experience
where I've made an assumption about somebody? Yes. Yes, I remember when.
Okay, tell us.
Okay, so you don't want to share that.
No, I can share. I can
Share it,
Yeah. Recently, I met a family member that I've heard a lot about for about 5 years, but never met in person until about 2 weeks ago. And meeting them in person completely changed my perspective and the idea I had in my mind for the past 5 years of this person, where they were from, how they were raised, literally everything.
Okay.
Until I saw and experienced how they lived and got to know them in person in a positive way.
In a positive way, okay,
yeah.
Not a negative way.
Yeah.
How often do you catch yourself making an assumption about someone just based on one impression? Or one feature you see?
Yes, quite often. Maybe I can't help but, I guess, profile in a way. I can't help but judge dog walkers or dog owners who don't pick up after their dog, because I always pick up after my dog.
I try not to, but it is again difficult sometimes because it's a natural thing. You sort of see someone, and I feel like I'm quite an empathetic person, but also you sometimes have a feel for someone. You can talk to them for a couple of minutes
Yeah.
and you're already feeling, okay, this is my kind of person
Yeah.
or not. And sometimes it's great, but sometimes you can put someone in a box because they, you know, they behave in a way that is different to you, and you can automatically box them somewhere that is not fair. And you know, and instinct, you know, it's a good guidance sometimes, but but I think, you know, giving people benefit of a doubt, I think it's important as well.
Yeah. The internet is gonna stick around, and it has been part of what our reality is for some time. So if online is part of our reality, then why doesn't it feel real? Why does it feel like we need to present a certain version of ourselves, a version that is worthy for others to see? I think it's because we're looking at the success of others, thinking we need that to be worthy. But our worth is already ours. It comes from within, and is earned by ourselves, not external validation. But so we don't show our true selves online, which I think is quite concerning, considering how for many of us, nowadays a big part of our daily lives is being lived online. So why do we choose to present ourselves in this way, when we know all of the complications it brings? I think at the end of the day, it comes down to the idea that we ourselves are responsible for how social media is. We decide to share our best moments, and we decide this is who we are. And you can say, but hey, I don't want to share my bad moments online. I want to keep that private, that's for myself. But I feel like it shows how insecure most of us are, and that we are not comfortable with our own flaws. And how are we able to build genuine connections online? Because genuine connections are built when we can relate to others. And how can we relate to a person whose life looks perfect? When it comes to sharing things online, do you feel like you present yourself in a polished way?
I think, yeah, we all do. Who wouldn't? But I've personally stopped sharing myself online so much. Yeah, and I feel like I'm a lot happier that way also. I got tired of people coming up to me and knowing so much about me, but it's all the things that I put out there. So I only had myself to blame. Now, I like that no one knows much about me. I can decide what to talk to you about.
Admittedly, yeah, I think so. I think we all have our different versions of ourselves when we put content out there.
I have social media, but I just don't, I'm not tend to share everything about my life.
You don't really use social media that much then?
I post my dogs.
Okay.
I post the photos of my dog. I don't really share my personal stuff, like the way I live. Sometimes we go to a place for fine dining. Some people might post it, but I never do that.
I guess that would be a kind of another source of feeling irrelevant. Other people always doing something better.
For sure.
I worry about that for my children's sake more, because I guess I'm from a generation where I still grew up without having social media and so on. So I feel more for my kids' sake that, you know, they're exposed to it really early on, trying to not scare them away. And I think another thing that I'm trying to teach my kids is gratefulness. And, you know, we're in a very privileged position here, but there are people that are a lot more privileged than they are. And I think that's the key as well to contentment. If you are grateful for the things that you are, and you can notice, and, you know, you can always have a better holiday, bigger house, you know, fancier clothes and so on. But when you think about what you have and you appreciate it, and the people particularly that are with you and that you are loved, then that would just help you with keeping that perspective in line.
I mean, I'm not that active on social media right now, but I think when I was, like a normal way, I guess. I just think it's human nature. We don't want to put our worst foot forward.
Why do you think people feel the need to make it seem like they are a certain way on social media?
Like their Instagram personality.
Yeah.
I actually don't know why people feel the need to do that, because I actually don't like it, and it kind of annoys me when I only see people pictures of themselves on vacation.
That's me. I share my vacations, but not my home life, not my personal life.
I guess.
So you don't share much anymore online, but when you did you also show like low moments? So did you kind of balance it out with low moments?
No, I don't feel the need to share my low moments, because I feel those are intimate. Those are my moments. Also, I wouldn't want to hear other people's low moments online. It's a bit of a downer.
Yeah, I think everyone tends to share up moments more, but I mean, I've definitely shared down moments as well.
Oh yeah, you do that.
I do. Thanks. The main reason being is because I don't want to be asked a lot of questions when I see these people in person. So when I see people in person, they already know like what's been going on, low or high. So that was my reasoning by sharing some low level. Get it out there in the beginning, and then I don't have to deal with it as much. As people know what they're getting into. Like when I meet up for lunch,
That's
they're
so opposite.
Oh, we already know. Yeah, but I also like my business is sharing a lot of my life and you know, sharing a lot of up moments to create more business. So I share all the up moments usually, and just the down moments that I know are gonna be brought up later.
Do I show low moments? Not really, no. I think before I was more open towards it, but now your online presence is kind of like your portfolio. And when you're starting in the corporate world and you're working with, you know, your clients and your business partners, you don't really know if you want to be showing that to them or like your employers. So as much as like, because I am a creative myself, so as much as I want to show that part of myself, there's also that thing where it's like, well, this is like my online resume, so I kind of need to like clean it up a little bit, not be too vocal.
Do you find it easier to get inspired by someone if you're on the same level, or if you're like, if that person's way above you?
See, I think that's the wrong way to think about others. I don't think you should think of others in different levels. I find ways to find inspiration in others without, you know, thinking of what level they're in life. Yeah, I feel like it's a healthy way to do things. You look for the good in everyone.
I personally think it's easier to compare yourself on a level with someone that's eye to eye with you. Yeah, someone like in the same industry, or you know, because you can relate.
Maybe someone who's more successful, because there's, of course, you'll be more inspired in so many ways.
I'm inspired by my colleagues on an equal level, because it's a competitive level. You know, you want to win with someone on the same level. I don't feel inspired by people on a more successful level. Maybe envious for a minute or two, but not inspired. Like if I look at a billionaire, I'm not inspired by them.
Do you feel like it's unattainable, that you don't feel inspired?
No, I don't feel that it's unattainable, but I don't feel inspired because I don't feel like it's the same competition.
It's in here as well in Manila. You see a lot of people that are very inspirational from, you know, I guess that's an interesting part of being here. It's such an international spot, like we're here in BGC. And I've met a lot of inspirational people from all around the world here, and some would be similar level, kind of living this expert life. Some would be completely different level and living really different lives towards what I live. But I think, you know, I find maybe people that are sort of in a similar, as you mentioned before, circle of values, a bit more inspirational. Having said that, sometimes you meet people that are completely different. And they've managed to build a successful business or something that even not money related, but just, I think for me the inspiring thing is if I see people that seem very at ease with themselves in the world, whatever their material situation is, you know, the confidence or this easiness, contentment in life, whatever your circumstances. I feel that this is the most inspirational for me, and that I would want to achieve more of that in life.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Thank you. Yes, we're good.
He's enjoying the attention.
Stoics believe that by understanding and accepting that we're all unique individuals, we can let go of the need to compare ourselves to others. Now, I still think this holds a lot of truth until today, although I do feel like in the digital age it is much harder to do so. So I think it's more important than ever to be intentional about what you consume and who you spend your time with. So with that being said, thanks so much for spending your time with me while watching this video. And if you like my work and you want to see more of it, then remember that you can always subscribe to the channel, as it will also really help me out by making my future projects. So once again, thank you so much for your support, and I will see you in the next one.